When Burn the Witch randomly popped up on Verve one day, I decided to check it out. I'm not really a Bleach fan, never interested in me, but I do like Tite Kubo's character designs for Bleach and the new Sakura Wars game, and Burn the Witch certainly has a visual presentation which I can really dig. Plus the name, Burn the Witch? That's a great title for an anime, so I knew I had to check it out just to see what this anime was all about. And after watching the 3 split episode movie, I came away really digging this anime, thinking it was pretty, well, cool. But I feel there is a lot of potential left in these characters, setting, and story that simply just wasn't as explored as much as, say, the technical elements like animation, art, and voice acting. But before we get into my review for Burn the Witch, I would like to remind you all that liking the video, commenting, and subscribing helps out this video on the algorithm and lets YouTube know I exist in the first place, as I don't promote these videos at all. So with that out of the way, this is Burn the Witch. Starting off, gotta say, just wow, this anime looks absolutely stellar. There simply aren't many anime you get in a year that look as crisp and beautiful as this anime does. The backgrounds, as one example, is simply some of the best backgrounds I've seen this whole year. Full stop. Backgrounds alone, this anime will be difficult to compete with, but then you add in these gorgeous looking characters. I mean, it's just so hard to argue against this being one of the best produced anime released in 2020, at least from my perspective. Even secondary characters like Billy Banks really stood out because of the beautiful production from Studio Colorido. But really, the reason you guys probably enjoyed this show a lot, or simply checked it out in the first place, is because of Nini and Noelle's designs. They're just so damn beautiful, both, as anime girls and just designs in general, and yet they retain some of that familiarity at the same time. Nini, as an example, has that classic tsundere-like design harkening back to the characters that we all grew up with, like Asuka Langley Soryu and Rin Tosaka, to name a couple. Same goes for Noelle, her design is really nice, and while I really don't care too much for how she is presented in this movie at times, damn, that design for her is so beautiful. Bruno's design, on the other hand, I have mixed feelings for, and it's one of the overall issues the film has. And that there are a lot of cool things happening, but nothing really to give it any sort of real meaning. I mean, it has meaning, but just like a normal series would have. Bruno's design reminds me something like Devil May Cry, which has about as much cheese as that game has. And I like Devil May Cry, guys, but I do like his normal design. It's just when he puts on that skull mask, I'm not sure if I'm to laugh or be confused as to why the hell he's wearing that. It just looks cheesy. Same goes for the way he's animated. There's just a lot of cheesy smiles and smirks that I don't think is good, but in terms of animation is really good. So I just can't decide whether to criticize or praise that. That's not the same for Noelle or Nini though, as Noelle has this delightfully deadpan, almost slothful look that she wears throughout most of the film, and it's pretty wonderful. Nini, on the other hand, has those beautifully animated classic tsundere expressions, and anytime that she is angry, it's played up to comedic effect rather well, to be honest. But it's Macy who really balances out the emotion of this series, because while Bruno is a cheesy badass, Noelle is a bored-looking girl, and Nini is a tsundere, Macy is the character to express the most sadness and general emotions geared towards that end of the spectrum. But even at the end, she shows that she can play a light-hearted comedy type as well with characters like Nini, which I really appreciate, though this is where I get into issues I have with the film's story, or rather lack thereof. Okay, so my biggest issue is that this film seems like a collection of moments and ideas that have no development for them or any kind of real meaning or substance. In many ways, this is a fully completed anime, just, it has no story. And in this sense, the film truly feels like a classic OVA you'd see in the 80s or 90s, which to me, it was awesome to see, as I think that era of anime goes ignored for a majority of people, and watching this gives that same kind of experience that not many people have had before. It also watches like a proof of concept for a story as well, like, when you sit down to read a one-shot for a manga that you like, that has already had this full-fledged manga series for it. A Silent Voice comes to mind. And sure, in that, there is absolutely an air of fun that you can have because you don't have to keep track on what's happening in the plot and all of that. But I felt in the end, this film simply felt like it could have been way more than what it was, at least in terms of story. For example, I think Nini is a character that's just there and nothing more. And even though she's one of our main characters, it doesn't really have much development or personality beyond being a tsundere. And that's a shame because I really enjoyed Nini and the little character that she was given in this film. The same goes for Noelle, though I would say it's worse in a sense because I guess this film decided we really needed to have Balgo perving on her anytime they interact, and then at the end Noelle comes to him and embraces him, and I don't understand. This guy has shown no respect for her boundaries and is literally a useless character in this film, but by the end we're supposed to believe that these two have some sort of deeper relationship just because he pervs on her. This kind of thing is riddled in Burn the Witch, where I don't understand why any of these characters have connections, and if they are explained, it's very surface level or through something that doesn't fit, like Nini and Macy being an idol group together. And don't get me wrong, I understand that why these characters are connected, but I would like more of a story reason is what I'm trying to say. The only character I really liked as a character was Macy, because it seems she had the most attention to her character, and it makes sense as to why, because of her connections to the main antagonist of the series, Cinderella. Well, it's not really a main antagonist, it's like a big boss, I guess. And no, not the Cinderella you're thinking of, but this giant fuck-off dragon. She finds the dragon and realizes only she can see it, so thus decides, hey, I'm gonna raise this dragon. The reason she did so was because this gave her purpose in her life. As she was depressed, she maybe sorta kinda not sure, honestly, maybe actually loves Nini, even though it's for sure implied through the writing, even though it was weird. Was it sure? Anyways, after raising Cinderella, she is found out by Nini and Noelle, and they try to take out the dragon. This is when Bruno, the Devil May Cry Cheese Fest himself, shows up. His character is pretty forgettable in this film, with already a fairly forgettable cast of characters. He smiles a lot, has a blue dragon named Rickenbacker, and uses spray paint to make cool magical stuff happen, which is a positive of his character, though I'm honestly not too sure if that should be something I praise, as he has almost a complete lack of development and sort of just shows up and does stuff and things like Rick in The Walking Dead. Oh no, wait, I got it. He smirks a lot and gets mad easily. That's his character. Yeah. He is kind of cool, though. He's got a dragon. As for the setting of the anime itself, I like the ideas of London having a reverse London, but I felt it wasn't nearly explored enough to its potential. What it really felt like was reverse London was just a way to explain away why things like dragon and magic exist in this world and not have the consequences that come along with having things like that set in normal London. Whew. Period, SeaTactics, use them. But while I do give this film props for trying to explore this idea, it's never really amounting to anything that interests me beyond the initial introduction of the concept. I felt like there was so much left on the table in regards to this anime exploring its setting. I feel like you can introduce so much more, like, well, okay, let's say this. If there is a reverse London, is there a reverse UK as a whole? If so, are there any more things than just dragons? Are there some places that are just only inhabited by dragons that in the normal world is like a normal city or place where people live? I feel like none of that was really explored here. And yes, this is just a 60-minute film. You won't be able to explore everything, and I don't expect Burn the Witch to explore every single one of those things in a 60-minute runtime. That's unrealistic and almost batshit insane if they could even pull that off, and if they did, I'd be able to praise them. But I do expect at least for them to, explore something about it a little bit more than they did, though at the end of the day, it kind of is what it is, and you have to respect their decisions in that regard, to which I do. Burn the Witch's one aspect I wanted more of was just the story, and that's completely MIA here. There just isn't one at all, besides some trace elements here and there. And while that is an extremely disappointing and big flaw of the film, on a personal level, I really found this an enjoyable anime. I think the idea to split the film up into 3 20 to 30 minute sections was a fantastic choice because it made it so much easier to digest than just sitting down for 60 minutes to watch a film that doesn't really have much story. This really has led me to the revelation that everything around Burn the Witch, from presentation, animation, art, voice acting, likability of characters, all of that there is pretty much solid and very well done. It's just the story. I mean, well, there isn't anything here at all to talk about. But despite all of that, I think the anime is actually something I can recommend. Yeah, sure, it isn't perfect, and I kind of criticize for like half of the video this anime, but I do think there is a lot of enjoyment from other aspects you can get from this film. And honestly, the fact that it doesn't have a story is kind of fine since it is only 60 minutes. Though I will also say that this is also absolutely 100% a disappointment to me as well. There are many interesting aspects of discussion around this anime because of the nature of the story. So at the end of the day, all I can say is that you probably should watch it for yourself. It's only 60 minutes long altogether, and I think that's because of its short runtime. There is no reason why, if you're interested in this, that you shouldn't at least try to experience Burn the Witch and make your own mind up about this film. I'm certainly not the arbiter of all things anime, and I encourage you all to go out there and make your own minds up and opinions about how you feel about this film. I think you'll find that more enjoyable than to hear me ramble on any longer. But the most important part of the video is here. It's the part where I tell you don't leave yet, because there are ways to support me, like liking this video, subscribing, ring the bell, and commenting what you think about Burn the Witch. I really want to hear your thoughts on Burn the Witch, because it's something that I've only talked about with a couple people, and I think this anime is extremely fascinating in so many different ways, even though there's not much to talk about. So just put down what you think about it. Did you watch read the manga? Did you watch the manga too? Put down the comments below. Subscribe and ring the bell, like the video, all that great stuff. I have a Patreon, or in the $1 tier and above, you get access to everything. And as well, you can become a channel member for just 99 cents, you guys. It would really help me out, and I have some merch that I'm selling down below. You can support me there as well. Whatever which way you like, I would greatly appreciate it. And thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.